3 plates on here feels like 3.5 or 4 plates on the other machine. So yeah, don't be fooled by it. Right, so we are 1 week post-show after the my pro debut in Italy. Got to say that was probably the most enjoyable prep I've ever had. Very relaxed prep. Going into the show, there was no expectations of me, no pressure. Unlike when I was an amateur, kind of knocking on the door at a pro card, there's always that added pressure that every show you do, people expect you to turn professional. So I placed in the top 6 or 7 from the results, which was great for my first pro show. I turned out exactly how I wanted to turn out. Condition was on point, my presentation was pretty good. I knew going into the show that I was going to be one of the smaller guys, which I'd established way before that anyway. And it was kind of my knock on some of the criticisms that I got. But the overall feedback from the head judge and some of the head judge and the judges was that I had really good structure, great condition, good shape, proportion, symmetry. I just overall need to be bigger. So this morning I've had 2 meals already. I've had 150 grams of oats, 50 grams of ice away from supplement needs, a banana, 1 bagel with jam. Second meal was 150 grams of dry weight jasmine rice, 225 grams of free range chicken. And now the third meal, we've got a 250 grams of grass-fed sirloin steak. We've got 150 grams of jasmine rice there that I pre-cooked earlier because I'm prepared like that. And mostly what we've done now, we've just increased the carbohydrates. Protein's pretty much stayed the same. But one of the main things I do post-show is I increase my fruit intake. So in prep, you're quite limited on fruit. So you're kind of missing out on some of those, those micronutrients, and those fruit's got a lot of digestive properties as well, which again is quite limited in prep. So although I have quite a bit of vegetables for fibre in prep, I don't have a lot of fruit. Go for the ones you most enjoy, but as long as they have some sort of and not a lot of antioxidants and health benefits, then especially in the off season when it can be hard to put down a lot of food. Fruit's very easy to put down. This is all prep for the push session we're about to do. There's not really a lot that changes from off-season training to prep training. It's pretty much the same. You transition in. You do have to be a little bit careful, obviously, where the joints are a little bit brittle. They're a lot more vulnerable post-show than what you think. So you want to go heavy because obviously the food's there, you feel strong, but sometimes you've got to hold back. But it's easier said than done when you're in a session and actually training for it. So the main focus for me, obviously overall I've got to get bigger, but the main focus is going to be chest and arms. So they're the kind of 3 muscles that I'm going to start playing around with volume and frequency. So I'm going to go in, hit it hard and heavy as I can. But again, it's as I progress with the training now, the food builds up and the training kind of follows that up as well. Or rather, we create the stimulus through training and then we feed up for the food. But where my body's in such a depleted state still from the show, still very lean, I can get away with pushing the food quite high at the minute. In fact, it's a great phase for building muscle, to be honest, because your appetite's high, you're lean, the nutrient partitioning is going to be very good. So we just kind of use all those kind of tools that we've got, take advantage of them, and just try and, I wouldn't say put on as much muscle as you can, because I don't think it's not this magical phase where you gain loads of muscle, but you are very primed for gaining muscle. I've decided not to do the French show, as in 3 weeks I can't really do much except from tighten up a little bit on condition, but that wasn't my knock. My knock was that I just wasn't big enough. So All right, so first exercise, we're starting with a seated cable fly. So normally start with this, I always start with this exercise. Last sort of 2-3 years, I've always started with this. We normally start with about 2 to 3 feeder sets, 2 working sets, then a back off set. So what we're doing a 1 second pause on the eccentric, then coming in, and then 1 second pause on the isometric. So with this, just trying to fire up the muscle fibers in the chest first. Like I said, chest is a weak point for me. So I've got to make sure every movement I do, I'm firing from the chest and not the delts. Chest is fried now. So that's kind of part of the reason we do it. Again, is to pre-exhaust it. So second exercise, we've got the slight incline Smith, only about 15 degrees. You don't want too much of an incline because we don't want to transfer too much stress to the shoulders. So again, like I said before, I'm only coming down about 1.5 inches off my chest, pressing up, really focusing, coming down real slow, moving up. We do about 3 to 4 feeder sets, about 8 to 10 reps, and then move on to 1 heavy set all out to failure. I don't feel good. Popped, yeah, something popped. Don't know if it's a nerve or something. Yeah, during the rep at the top. Nature of the beast. So that's a little lesson in itself. If something doesn't feel right, just stop the set. I was a bit worried then, I tore my tricep, but luckily just feels like a bit of a pop in the tendon, so it's not too bad. But yeah, don't be a hero. When you get movements like this, you just, something don't feel right, just stop the movement straight away. It's not worth potentially putting yourself out for a couple of months of training. Just did the incline the slight incline Smith press. I had a pop on my tricep, which wasn't good at all. Like I said, I cut the set short. So I did have planned to do flat dumbbell press now, but as the workout's gonna have to change direction now because of my tricep, I'll be okay with fly movements. So this is what it is, guys. Sometimes you just gotta kind of adapt to what happens. If you have a slight injury, if it's really serious, I'll just cut the workout. Mine was a slight pop. For a second there, I thought I tore the tricep off the bone, which scared the shit out of me. But feeling it now, I've still got movement in there. It's a little bit achy, but not too bad. So I can continue with the workout. So instead of going into a press movement where I'm going to be going to elbow flexion and trying to move a bit more load, I'm going to go into a fly movement, almost like a fly press. And we're going to kind of change and adapt the workout from there. done 3 sets on the flat dumbbell fly, holding the stretch. I plan to do a cable press, but I really don't want to risk it with my this elbow injury, or the tricep injury rather. I still feel it's there, throbbing a little bit, not enough to stop the workout. Like, I won't be too stupid, to be honest, and push my luck, but I know when I can get through certain movements like cable flies and stuff. So again, that's what it's all about. These things happen, life throws you a curveball. To be honest, maybe I thought I was being precautious enough, again, with enough feeder sets, warm-up sets, working sets and back-off sets on the cable flies at the start to pre-exhaust the chest, that I couldn't go too heavy. But having a pre-existing elbow injury that kind of flares up now and again, I pushed it a little bit too hard on the Smith machine, which I probably shouldn't have done. Maybe I should have backed off the weight a little bit, but I did rack it as soon as I felt it. So luckily, I think I've got away with it, touch wood. So yeah, so we had to change the workout, did some flat dumbbell flies. Now we're moving on to the cable flies, but we're doing a different movement, coming down across the chest. Again, that's the function that the pec does, brings the arm across the body, humerus across the body. So we're going to do more volume here, probably 4 sets, 15 to 20 reps, finish off, get as much blood in there as we possibly can. And then we're going to move on to shoulders, which I had planned to do some heavy shoulder pressing for the first shoulder movement, but that's out the window now. So it's going to be more lateral movements, maybe some front raises and a rear raise instead. So. Right, first exercise for shoulders. We're doing 4 sets, 20 reps on the lateral raises. Again, moving to a bit more volume approach now because of just what happened. So just gonna fill the shoulders with as much blood as possible, which kind of was the goal of this anyway, because I'm doing predominantly chest with the shoulders top up. So the shoulder work's never really super heavy, extreme on the top up workouts, more isolation movements. So it kind of suits what we're doing anyway, but we're just doing an extra set or 2, just really, just so I can't move as much load basically. So yeah, 4 sets of 20, and then we're going to move on to cuff front raise, and we're going to do the same 3-4 sets of 20 reps again, just filling the shoulders up with blood. Right, last exercise is going to be the cuff front raise, cuff cable front raise. Again, a little bit more volume. We're going to do 3 to 4 sets of 20 reps, just fill them out. Normally I do like dumbbell front raises, but I just think at this point, towards the end of the workout, what's just happened with the elbow, gripping something's probably not the best idea at the minute, so we're using the cuffs just to relieve a bit of the forearm pressure, which in turn obviously helps out with the elbow, so I can just focus on the shoulders and not focus on gripping anything. I do like this exercise as well. I do go back and forth between this. I think it's important with shoulders to get a lot of variation, so I go back between cables, with the D handles, with the bar and with the dumbbells, just like complete variation, especially with the isolation movements. So yeah, it's gonna be the last exercise. Again, 3 to 4 sets of 20, and then we're done. That's just the way it is sometimes, guys. You kind of got to adapt to what it is and just move on, and then fight another day. So I'm going to go home, rest, ice my tricep now. Hope the damage isn't too bad. I'll get it looked at, rest up maybe the next couple of days, give it a little bit of time to heal, and then hopefully I should be back in the gym and ready to kill it again. So fast forward a couple of weeks, I've been to the physio. and we had an ultrasound on there, and I've partially torn the MCL. So I got away with it, to be honest, got off quite lightly, put it that way. So it's not like a career damaging injury, whereas if I tore my tricep, that, you know, it can potentially just end your career. So what I'm doing moving forward, definitely being more careful with the training, that's for sure. Unfortunately, I can't train upper body now for about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. So we're focused on a lot of rehab at the minute. I'm training more legs. I've started doing a little bit of light back and a little bit of shoulder work involving lateral movements and pull downs, which I can get away with because it doesn't aggravate the elbow too much. But apart from that, I'm just doing a lot of rehab and isolation movements just to kind of strengthen that ligament back up. It's just part of the game sometimes. It's the nature of the beast. You get a bit beaten up. You have a bump in the road, you get over it and you move forward. There's nothing you can do to help these things sort of sometimes. So just the way it is. So moving forward, what am I doing? I'm going to be using the Supplement Needs Joint Stack. This is an incredible product, to be honest. It's not been out that long. I know, like any of Dr. Dean's products, he puts everything he's got into the formations of it. It tackles two things. We've got joint integrity and inflammation, and then we've got pain management and inflammation. So most joint products just tackle, you know, the joint integrity, which you get your normal ingredients in there, your standard glucosamine, chondroitin. But what Dean has done, he's added in some extras in there. So we've got marine collagen peptides, stuff that's suitable for vegetarians and vegans under your own discretion. And stuff that kind of helps towards oxidative stress as well. So there's a lot of antioxidants in there. And the second part of the joint product, which most joint products, in fact, hardly any on the market do address, is the pain management side of it and the inflammation. So we've got loads of different ingredients in there. So we have the 6 again for the joint integrity, and then we have 10 for the joint inflammation and pain management. Some really cool ingredients in there. One of them is called cat's claw. I'm pretty sure Dean didn't actually use a cat's claw in it, but that's kind of one of my favorite names for it. So I'll be using this moving forward. I don't need to double dose it or anything like that. It's just, it's a fully comprehensive joint stack. So just taking that 1 serving a day with some electrolytes and I'm good to go. So one product I've been using all through prep and I'll continue to use through this kind of rebound phase and especially into the detox phase as well, is Tudka and NAC. This is the liver support. So going back 10 years ago, we used stuff like milk thistle, which has proven to be pretty kind of inefficient and inadequate now, to be honest, proven that it doesn't really do much. Tudka and NAC have been proven to dramatically reduce and keep your level stable with the ALT and AST. So some people say it's kind of counterproductive. Some people say, or studies say, that if you have too much Tudka, it can actually cause liver problems and liver toxicity. But to be honest, that's a load of bullshit because you can overdo anything. You know, if you take too much of anything, it's going to cause a negative side effect. So if you take too much vitamin C or vitamin D in high doses, you're probably going to get some sort of liver stress from that. So I'd rather take extra of this and, you know, take the risk of having liver stress than not taking it and have all the problems that I have with oral steroids, which you use towards the end of prep. So towards the end of this prep, I've used Halo, Winstrol, Proviron. Again, all of these have it's very stressful for the liver. So I tend to dose this all the way through prep to almost prime myself for that point. And then towards the end of prep, I'll actually double dose on the Tudka and NAC just to, you know, keep all those levels in check, the ALT and AST. And then I'll then carry on through the whole 4 to 6 weeks after the show, just to, you know, ensure that everything's bulletproof there. Even though the orals do get removed post-show, I'll still keep them in there just to, you know, just to ensure that my liver is healthy. And it's a product I do use in a small amount in the off season, but to be honest, you shouldn't really need it too much in the off season because you shouldn't be blasting loads of orals in the off season. If you are, I'm pretty worried if you're using just as many orals in the off season than you are the pre-contest. So again, this is a great product. And for those of you in prep that don't seem to care about health, because there is a lot of people like that, It's been proven that the less stressed the liver is, and the better you keep your ALT and the AST levels in check, you actually oxidize and burn fat better too. So if you're not going to do it for the health benefits, just do it for the cosmetic and the fat burn effects. Now, people think I hate these, but I don't. They think I'm a cuff hater. What I don't like about cuffs is that I think too many young guys get into the gym now coming over reliant on them, and basically they're not gripping anything. So they're not going to develop any forearm strength or any grip strength at all. They seem to be putting cuffs on everything. You're probably going to see a cuff deadlift at one point. It's getting that stupid. But these are actually great for when you have injuries as well. So obviously at the minute, I can't really grip a lot because obviously the partial tear in my MCL. So I will be using some cuffs. So when I'm doing my exercises or muscle groups like shoulders, I can do a cuff lateral raise, cuff front raise, rear raise, anything that's going to reduce the grip, me gripping hold of anything when I'm doing movements. So that's the benefit to that. And supplement knees have obviously made it so it's super comfortable as well. I've got a nice little fluffy pad on there for you little snowflakes. And we've got these, which, not to plug it, but if I was using the supplement needs elbow sleeves, I probably would have never torn my my MCL in the first place. Obviously the brand makes all the difference. So we've got elbow sleeves, which I'm a nightmare for losing these, but now they've got supplement needs on in the gym, no one else can take them off me. Again, it's only I think we said it's a 40% tear, so I probably will be back to normal in about, say, 3 to 4 weeks, I think. I've got another 2 weeks of training and I'm going on holiday for a week, so I get a bit of rest there, but I will still be doing rehab movements on holiday as well. So that's going to keep me kind of just ticking over till I get back. I will be using some human growth hormone in the next sort of 2 weeks, push it at kind of a high dose for 2 weeks before I go, just to help again with some of that regeneration of the tendons and ligaments. And then apart from that, I should be good to go. And again, I will use the cuffs moving forward on certain movements, just to protect my elbow and to prevent me from getting further injuries. But as soon as I can, and when I'm back to 100%, I will go back to obviously gripping stuff like dumbbells and cables and D-handles. I don't seem to have too much of a problem with that. So a usual day in the life, I wake up around sort of 5:30 a.m. Take some of my supplement need products, like we have the Electrolyte Plus with about 750 milliliters of water, go straight down to the gym. Not my usual gym actually, not Primitive. I go to what's called my cardio gym, which is a 24-hour gym. Go there, we'll do half an hour cardio, then I'll do some stretching, a little bit of ab work. Come home for about 7 o'clock. By that time, my son's just getting up from getting ready for school, my wife's getting ready for work. Then I'll make my breakfast, start prepping some of the meals for the day. And the couple of hours between from where I'm doing that to work is I'm answering client emails, messages, whether that be sports massage, personal training clients or online clients. Then from there, start work at 10 a.m. Normally do about 7 to 8 clients a day through deep tissue therapy and personal training. Then I'll end up training at about 6 p.m. Get home around about 8 p.m. Have dinner with my wife, my son. Take the dog for another walk. Oh, that's something I missed actually. We take the dog for a walk in the morning. Just do kind of like a 45-minute walk around the block or down the park. And then we take him again in the evening. So that's pretty much it. Sounds horrendously boring and monotonous because that's exactly what it is. The life of a bodybuilder is not the life of a rock star. It's pulling your dog along the beach all the time because he's disobedient, like that. So yeah, and that's what a lot of people struggle with, like guys and girls. I know, so you can have a decent, come on. It's easy to have a good couple of days or couple of weeks or couple of months, but when it comes to bodybuilding, it's really, you have to do that for weeks on end, months on end, years on end, and that's what compounds to make you a better bodybuilder. And that's where a lot of people struggle, is the monotony of the routine. But to be honest, for me, routine's everything. I love routine, I love structure. I feel lost. I feel like a little bit insane if I don't have it. I've always kind of been a little bit like that. So again, that's where a lot of people slip up, but I think that's the most important part. Yet the most boring part of bodybuilding, what makes a great bodybuilder, is just routine. So now we've wrapped up post-show thoughts and reflections. I've kind of told you what I'm doing in my off-season and my training. So from here on out, like I said before, I'm going to hit this next 3 weeks of the rebound. I've then got a holiday with my wife to New York. After that, I'm going to go into a TRT detox phase for another around about 8 weeks. And then we're going to fully kick off the off-season start of next year, we'll say January, just after Christmas. And from then, I'm probably going to hit about a 6-7 months off season, hit it hard, and then hopefully hit a string of shows in the States. Ideally want to do I haven't really made up my mind. It's either the Cali Pro or the Chicago Pro. One of those two shows, or maybe both, considering how I feel at the time. So ideally I want to get my name out in America, or it's not so much getting my name out there, but more get my feet wet with some, real tough competition and see how I fare up against the real good guys in the top tier shows. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I will keep you guys updated. I'm going to be doing my own YouTube channel, and I'm going to be trying to get a video out every 2 weeks. It's going to follow along all through the off season and all through the different phases I go through, health phases, deload phases, back off phases. I'll be going through all my PED stacks, my anabolics, health supplements I use, blood work. My wife's just finishing opening up her clinic now, so a lot of focus is going to be going on that the end of this year, or the rest of this year rather. So she's going to open up a clinic that involves irrigation, cryotherapy, blood work, which obviously ties in well to bodybuilding, and vitamin IV therapy. So I'll be giving you guys an insight on that as well. So follow along on the journey. I'm going to go through all of that, and then we're going to transition into, again, how I'm going to go into the next prep and how I'm going to make the improvements moving forward.